for the Lord God of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And the Lord said unto him, Go, return on thy way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when thou comest, anoint Hazael to be king over Syria, and Jehu the son of Nimshi shalt thou anoint to be king over Israel, and Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abel Meholah shalt thou anoint to be prophet in thy room. And it shall come to pass that him that escapeth the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slay, and him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha slay. Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which have not kissed me. Okay, so that's that 19 to 18. So Elijah is a well-known prophet that I'm saying that he ascended. He ascended up into heaven, and that was, he left his body of light, and he actually ascended into the spiritual realm. And in the spiritual realm, there's more strength, because, as I've said, when we read the Gospel of St. John, I think it's verse 4 with the woman at the well, it starts off by saying that we come to the Lord in spirit and truth, and that's when we can really worship him. So Elijah had ascended, and he went straight from the heavenly body, the body of light, into the spirit, because at the time of King Habab and Jezebel, they were, and she was a Phoenician queen, they were dealing with high spirituality, high wicked spirituality. And the way that the Lord was able to use his messenger, to use his Son of Man, to use the prophet Elijah, was to ascend him into the spirit. And that's why Elisha, who knows the story, says to give me a double portion of your spirit. So therefore he would have strength on earth while Elijah worked in the heavens. You see? And I'm going to say that that's me, Joycelyn Linton, speaking here. Okay? But hey, the Lord is influencing me on the concept that I'm trying to transmit across to yourselves. So the story of Elijah now, that Elijah is a witness, just like Moses was a witness to Egypt and freeing the Lord's people from the Egyptian Pharaoh and the oppression and the enslavement that they were under. So now Elijah he's going higher into higher spirituality. Okay, so this worshipping of Baal, and if we know the story of Baal, and Moses speaks to the Israelites, and he says that there will be punishment for you if you follow the heathen ways and make human sacrifice to Baal. There will be punishment because the Lord is against the human sacrifice. Okay, you bring the goat, you bring the lamb, and you bring the bull. Okay, and there's a reason why the Lord wants these animal sacrifices. And again, that will take me back to Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, because in Genesis 2 it shows that out of the ground the Lord God made the animals, and he brought them to the man to see what he would call them, and whatever he called them, that was their name thereon. To see, vision. The Lord is talking about vision, but they came out of the ground. So in other words, the sacrifice of the animal was provided an atonement. It was a way that the Lord can send the blessings down from the earth, from the heaven to the earth. Yes? But with the human, they have a soul. Yeah? And we are to pray to the Lord, and the Lord will send a direct blessing. But hey, let's not get too debatable on this one, or too argumentative. I'll allow the Spirit of the Lord to move upon me on another occasion. But the occasion is like right now, yes, according to the prophetic dreams that I had and the readings of Elijah. So Elijah is a prophet that went into the high spiritual realm, and he was dealing with real dark forces on behalf of the Lord. And so Jezebel, she was just trying to cut off the Lord's prophets. So that means the word of the Lord will not come upon the earth, and that the Lord has said to the various prophets that he will see that his word will perform. He will establish his word. And we see that in the first book of Samuel, chapter 1, where Elkanah speaks to his wife Hannah, and he said, so be it, the Lord will establish his word. Right? So the prophet of the Lord Most High, Almighty, the Lord of hosts, he will ensure that his word comes through his vessel, and then the Lord will establish his word. And this is which is what the preacher said this morning about the word of the Lord, and I think I read it in the pamphlet. The word of the Lord is forever, stands forever. Okay? It stands forever, the word of the Lord. So Jezebel wanted to stop the word of the Lord, but that's in the spiritual realm. I don't think physically she realized what she was doing, but she was bowing to an image there. Okay? And that image has a spirituality. Okay? And it's an adverse to the true God of the earth. Yeah? And so they were King Ahab, because I said King Ahab, he was king of Israel. Okay? So he has a high post. And he has all the souls under him. Yeah? And so they have succeeded to cut off the prophets. They have succeeded to cut off the word of the Lord. The Lord sends Elijah. And Elijah now has to ascend. And Elisha sees him, goes up into the chariot of fire. Right? Now, as I said, this is my message, but I won't go into it right now because the people have to be ready to receive, you see. So, but it will link to what I was saying last week. So, as he ascended into the Spirit now, the Lord will still bring forth his word, I will say, in the spiritual realm to combat those higher dark forces. And folks, this is the dream that I was having. So I'm just going to go back, but I'm going to use the church pamphlet here, because there's a part here where Elijah says, I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. That means so Elijah wants the way of the Lord to be upon the earth. Just like I'm saying, when I look around and the people, they seem to be contented with life as it is. They don't think, they have no idea that there is better. They think this is the life. They think this is the life, you know. And I'm trying to say, no. There is a lot better. I'm not even talking about heavenly better. I'm talking about physically better, earthly better. There is a better life, okay? And they don't even want to entertain it. So, because I was saying in the conversation yesterday that if England wants to come out of the European market, then they've got to make sure that everything they do is in excellency. Yeah? But to have excellency, they need the intelligence of the young people to know how to operate in the gift of intelligence. So when they make a car, when they produce a car, that car does not break down, just like the Honda Civic does not break down. Yes? They have to have good intelligence from the young people. Yes, they have this national curriculum, but is it really producing intelligent people? Because the Lord, he's against the national curriculum. He said that just teaches the young people to be enslaved to an industry. But it doesn't help them to know themselves and to know the true gifting that I have supplanted in them. You see? So sometimes the Lord will put England in a position to come to their own realization, their own awakening, and to question themselves, and to know who is their truth, and what is their truth. You see? So, and what standards they need to set. So he says, Lord, I have been zealous for the Lord. I want the ways of the Lord to be here. The ways that these people are living are so beneath, are so demoralizing to themselves. They are in long suffering. They're in sickness and disease and dying. They're aging. Their bones are deteriorating. Their body tissues are something. It's just everything is on a downward scale. They're miserable. They're in drudgery. They're quarreling with one another. They cannot see eye to eye. They cannot work as a team. He says, Lord, I'm zealous for your ways. I'm zealous for your standard. I'm zealous to be in your high esteem. So it says, the God of hosts. That means, Lord, you host everything on the earth and in the heaven. For the Israelites have forsaken your covenant, your promise. They don't even remember the promise of hope. He says, they've thrown down your altars. They go to other altars. They don't know your altar, Lord. And he says, and killed your prophets with the sword. So that means the word of the Lord isn't overflowing on the land, that the Lord can establish his word that can last forever. He says, I am alone and they are seeking my life. So he said, I am alone. Now they want to take me, the one thing that can hold this earth together. I am the one glue to keep this earth together, Lord, so your anger does not distinguish it all. And now they want to take me away. To take me away, they take everything away. So he says, but go return your way to the wilderness of Damascus. And wilderness means spirituality. Yeah? When Moses went to Pharaoh and he says, let my people go, so they may make festive in the wilderness. The Lord has shown me that wilderness means spirituality. So he's saying to him, he's prophesying the word to the prophet. He's saying, come up, come into the wilderness, come into the spiritual realm. Now you can bring my word at a higher advance and with more strength at that type of level. And so this is what the Lord is calling Elijah to come. So there's two witnesses there. There's Moses, who witnesses with the flesh, I would say, with the children, the promised children of the Lord, who's under this oppression, under Pharaoh. And then there is Elijah, who's witnessing in the spiritual realm. He's witnessing in the spiritual realm. So now, let me tell you what my dream has shown me. So the Lord caused me to do some paintings. And the group was quite, taken back by the paintings, the colors and that. And you know what the Lord was showing me? I did 3 columns in bright orange, kind of orangey, pinky. And the Lord showed me these are the governing systems of the world. And I had a kind of a murky bluey, and then I had a kind of a murky brownie. And he said to me, my force is coming upon this earth in such a strength that it will be terrific, too terrific for the governing systems, because they have been mistreating the people for time over time, and the force will be too much for them. Okay, so there's a lot going to be happening, and we cannot reckon this force that's coming upon the earth. We cannot reckon with it. And as the Lord has said through Jesus, through the Gospels, he said, and through the prophet Moses, that man cannot live by bread alone, and bread means spirit, cannot live by spirituality alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord. Okay, so I'm hoping that I can round the story up and the readings of this morning. So when Jesus calls Peter and he says, come, he means come into the heavens. And we have to be in our righteousness. We have to be in the mercy and the truth of the Lord. And then in righteousness and in peace. You see? So we have to leave the earthly body. We have to die to the flesh and rise again in our heavenly bodies, in our bodies of light. Then we can take dominion over the waters. And we see that in Psalms 8. Yes, because it says, and in Genesis it says, 1, the water is divided below the heavens and above the high heavens. And 2 weeks ago, I went to a prayer meeting and I spoke to a fella about this, and he said, yes, we're like hybrids. We're like hybrids. We're between the earth and the heavens. So I realized that he received the prophet's reward, so he's on his way to receiving righteousness and peace. I'm going around in circles here, but to those who can hear the word here. So basically,